called hockey hair because they were ice hockey players, and they had this sort of Viking type hair, and I thought, well, I'll have a bit of that.
Well, it's missed. I do miss it.
Really?
But you look lovely now. And also, may I say, you've aged cracking.
Oh,
look at you.
Yeah.
You're a work of art, Pat Sharp.
62 nearly next month.
Amazing.
So
you look great.
Cracking on.
Really, really good.
But perfect for radio anyway. But I do think that the mullet is not missed by me or my wife or anybody else really, because it was a moment in time. They are coming back.
They are.
They're really quite popular
now. Younger
now.
people kind of like mullets in the making, don't you? So.
Yeah, no, they are coming back. So the new generation is welcome to them.
Let's talk about Go-Go's. Belinda Carlisle, this band. Why have you picked this?
So I've gone for Our Lips Are Sealed, which most people probably know has been done by the Fun Boy 3, because I think that was a bigger hit. I'm not sure if Our Lips Are Sealed was actually a hit here, but it's like, it's just so LA. They were just such a LA band, so California, and it just smells of the sunshine. And I love Belinda Carlisle. I've got to meet her many times over the years since then with her solo stuff, and have introduced her many times. And she never likes to do a selfie. She keeps herself to herself and doesn't want to do selfies, so she runs onto the stage and then runs off and disappears. So every time I see her, I go, "Hey, Belinda," and she goes, "Yeah." And I go, she goes, "But I go, "I know you don't do it, but you do with me." Whether you want to or not.
And these girls were the first girl group of America.
Yeah.
You know, this is amazing, isn't it? What they managed to achieve. They were like the Spice Girls, weren't they, in the States? You know, it's just what an incredible legacy.
Absolutely. And in a way, probably better than the Spice Girls, because they played their own instruments, and they were a real sort of punky band.
Yeah.
They had, they had a proper drummer and a proper guitarist, whereas I don't think any of the Spice Girls do play any instruments, which is, fine as a vocal band, and they can jump on a stool with Westlife anytime, but or Boys Life as they are now with the mixture with Brian and Keith. But no, they were a real band. I went to see them at the Forum in Kentish Town with Paul Gambaccini when I was just before I got on Radio 1. My manager, who looked after Gambo, said, I got you a chance to meet some of the Radio 1 guys. You can go and meet Gambo and Richard Skinner, and they're going to go to this gig, and you can go and, try and get yourself in there before we send off your demo. And I did. And I remember, people of all different ages, as Gambo's a good 20 years older than me, and he loved the Go-Go's. And, of course, being from America, he was enthusing about them. And I didn't know anything about them until I saw them. And then when I saw them, bang, that was it for me. And the album, We Got the Beat and stuff, it's just brilliant. So Our Lips Are Sealed, definitely not the biggest hit in the UK version wise, but the best version for me.
What's been your career highlight when we're talking about all the stuff you did in the 80s and 90s? Is it TV? Is it radio?
Funny thing is, Steve, I would say, and you might find this a bit odd, but my career highlight is probably now and what I'm going to be doing next weekend and what I did last weekend, because I am playing the biggest and best gigs of my life all over the world. I play in Dubai. I'm in Dubai with Bjorn again. Next month I'm playing in Mallorca on a cruise. I'm playing all the Butlins and all the Rewinds and all the Let's Rocks. And
so what's a Pat Sharp set now?
It's party stuff. It's nothing too trendy. It's nothing that will make you think that I'm just going to mix a song into the other, because I'm obviously speaking in between all the songs and playing Sweet Caroline and Hermes House Band's version of Country Roads, and the roof comes off.
Yeah.
It's really quite wild, and I embrace every minute of it, because I always say at the end, I think I'm really lucky at my age to be doing this, because you just made me feel fantastic for an hour. Thank you very much for coming out. I mean, I played Butlins at the weekend, and then I was in Scotland at Hamilton Racecourse the next day. The week before I was on 2 Butlins and Torquay. I did 2 in the same night. So I've got 60 gigs for next year in the diary already.
For next year?
Yeah, and I play all over the shop, and I think people like it because I don't have any airs and graces. I turn up and just people have a good time. And Butlins always put me on early. I play at like 7:45 p.m. because
that's nice.
Because they know that when I'm playing, people come out of their chalets and stop pre-drinks and actually come out and buy drinks.
Wow.
So I always tend to fill up their arenas and their different stages.
Do you take your jingles with you?
No,
What's
I don't.
happened to the jingles, Pat? Come on, I'm being anarchy again. Where are they?
I've got all my jingles. They are waiting for the right moment to be brought out again. They've been out recently, and they will make a return.
Did you have a favourite jingle?
Yes, I do.
Go on.
So people will still say to me if they pass me in the street, they go, whoop, woo, because I did have a jingle where I just took that. That's what I said to you when I made jingles. I would take that from the end of Bad Boys from Wham. So, or the beginning actually. So it's Bad Boys just starts, woo, woo, dun, dun, bad boys stick together. So I just took that and just put it on the end of my Pat Sharp Radio 1 a cappella, and I played it to this day on every other station, even though the BBC made it. And now it just goes, Pat Sharp, woo, woo. So people still remember that. I used to be mowing the lawn in my garden, and people would just drive by and go, woo, woo. So it's amazing this lasted. Probably not my favourite though. My favourite would be, I'd go back to Norway, and it would be a jingle which is called All the Hits, and I've got a jingle that goes, wow, 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 Pat Sharp's got all the hits. Wow, 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 don't miss a bit. And who
sang that? I remember it.
Well, it's good that you remember it. It was sung by a band called Creation, who were quite famous in Norway and had a few hits, and they had a record out called In My Life,
right,
which was sung in English and went, wow, 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 in my life, da-da-ba-da, sung in tune, unlike myself. And this song, I went to the guys and said, listen, I've got an idea that if you take just the chorus of this song, you could make a jingle for me by changing the lyrics to this. And the best thing about this, you'll like this, and anybody listening who's an anorak will like this. Not that I'm saying you're an anorak, but you know a lot about my jingles. There are two versions, one of which has never been played, because they didn't know at the time, I wasn't there in the studio, whether to sing wow, 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 Pat Sharp's got all the hits, which is the one that I've been playing for years, nearly 40 years, or wow, 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 Pat Sharp's got all the hits. So they didn't know whether to sing the or the, because they're not English. So I've got a version with the as well, which I shall be sending to you in a brown envelope.
Thank you very much. I won't be able to sleep until I receive that, Pat. Let's talk about Bryan Adams, this next song. Tell me about this song.
Okay, so Bryan Adams is the guy I've seen most live, probably about 35, maybe 40 times.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I really like his shows because he's a bit like me from a point of view that he just gets on with it. And when I'm DJing, I just walk on, bang, and there's not too much chat. I just get on with it. And I can remember seeing him at Wembley Stadium, and he walked on in a white T-shirt, pair of blue jeans, faded, maybe with a little rip in them, put his guitar over, didn't say hello, and just went, put on your best dress, darling. And that's how that song starts. And I thought there never will be another tonight, because he just got straight on with it. And it's a song that isn't always played, not so many people remember it, but it's a really dynamic pop song. And his last album was brilliant as well. So he's lasted the test of time for me.
I remember you going on stage before Michael Jackson. Yeah. Was that the Dangerous gig in like Wembley or something? You and Mick Brown went on stage and you warmed up.
Yeah, we did. We weren't allowed to do too much of a warm-up. We weren't allowed to play any records. We had to give out train timetables and things and tell people when they could get home. But one of those gigs, it wasn't Dangerous. No, I can't remember which tour it was. But I do remember that we had a sound guy or somebody came up and whispered in our ear while we were on the stage just to say, hi guys, just let you know, Michael's not coming tonight. He's staying in his hotel. He's not well. So if you want to tell everybody. And I went, how about no? How about you tell him? I'm not telling him. He didn't come. That was the night he didn't come to Wembley Stadium.
90,000 people are there?
Yeah. He said, can you just tell people he's not coming? I went, no, you're all right. I was in the
What
car,
happened?
just leaving the car park when I heard a really loud boo.
Gosh.
Yeah, he didn't come that night.
Did you meet him?
I'd like to say yes, but no, I didn't. No, we never met him. I did do something for Michael Jackson Enterprises, I think it was called. So while I was doing that tour and on stage, not introducing him when he didn't come, I got paid some money to go and walk up and down the line with just a audio recorder, no TV, no cameras, and just to ask people if they were excited, for people who were queuing up. And I did that, and they obviously wanted it for something and used it for something. And I remember when we got paid, my agent goes, oh, we've received a check and it's from Michael Jackson Enterprises. And I go, has he signed it? And he goes, no. He goes, do you want me to bank it or shall we just keep it? I went, no, bank it.
Was it PP'd?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't him, no. So we never met him, no.
Tell me about Cutting Crew. I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
Yep. Done some gigs with Nick Eade over the years, taken him to play for some gigs I did in Bahrain and Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Oman, various places, and he's always a great performer, often comes out and plays this acoustically, which is great, and he's a really nice man. And this song, such a great record, and was number one in America. So to be number one in America is something that so many people, even on this list, don't get a chance to do. I mean, Aha with Take On Me was top of the pile in America, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Or was it?
Yeah, I think it
was. Yeah, it was number 2 here, but number 1 in America. So lots of the songs I played, people haven't even had hits in America. So to be number 1 in America is quite an accolade. And if you're going to have one great song to always sort of look back on and think this is our moment, this would be the Cutting Crew's moment, and it's a brilliant pop song.
Jewel, Propaganda. Tell me about this.
Trevor Horn, Zang Tum Tum, and the recording studio where a friend of mine works, so I got to go in and watch them record this. And they were German, I think it's Claudia Brucken, and I watched her do this song with whoever else was in the band. I don't remember, but it's still to this day, this is what I call a turntable hit. So it's like, you or I would know this, maybe the listeners don't know, but you don't often hear it on the radio. But when it was out, it was played a lot. Nowadays, not so much. When it is played now, it's very special. When it was played then, it didn't make it the biggest hit, but it still sounds like you should know it and that it was a hit.
Yeah.
So for me, it's from the opening note again, that piano sounds brilliant for me.
I mean, this would have been like after your 20 jingles, this song kicking in. Yeah. This would be a Pat Sharp song, wouldn't it? A top of hour song.
I don't know about that. No, I think this would be.
Am I misremembering?
Yeah, I think this is before my time.
But on the top 10 at 10 or whatever, I could hear this as a start of day song that you play and you jock over effortlessly,
So ironically, when I would have played this on something like the top 10, it would have been already an oldie as such, because it would have been a few years old.
Yeah,
it's probably 83
or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you might be right, 83. So so I'd already started on the radio in 82, but I think playing this song even now, it sounds fresh.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And it's really weird that you started on Radio 1
and work my way down.
Most people do it the other way, don't they? No. But it's really weird that you did the Radio 1 thing and then the Capital thing, because most other people, if we think about people with works with, Clive Warrens and other Charlie Jordans and people like that went to the BBC, didn't they?
Yeah. So my radio journey was probably quite unique. My first ever radio show. Never done hospital radio, anything. Never sat behind a mic, and I sat in for Steve Wright in the afternoon.
How did that happen, Pat?
Right place, right time. They had no one else. Everyone was on holiday.
And you were really good.
I was all right. I was average.
Come on.
They put me on for a week, I think, maybe because they'd be able to say, hey, look, we give somebody who's never had experience a shot. And I had a manager who looked after lots of Radio 1 DJs, and so he convinced the boss to give me a crack.
So how did you feel that first moment you put the mic up and you're on Radio 1 and it's your first show and you haven't done hospital radio? Can you remember that moment, and how did you feel?
I remember it well. I felt nervous. And also I remember being told, and this is going to sound really selfish, when my manager said to me that you're going to be on Radio 1 sitting in for Steve Wright for a week, I thought, wow, that's cool, but can I go on Capital? I don't really like Radio 1. It's not really. It's not really my thing. I said I live in London. It's not really, no one listens to it here at the time. So I did it and embraced it, and it was amazing. And they only had me on for a week, and then they chucked me off, and I went to Radio Luxembourg for 2 weeks. Then they brought me back for a year, and then they chucked me off again. So good learning curve of radio, going up and down. It's not plain sailing all the way, and I wouldn't have got to where I got to without being kicked off stations. And when your time's up, your time's up.
Have you ever been nervous on it? Because you've always sounded so together, so kind of word perfect, just so kind of rehearsed and in the right zone. With Richard Park being your boss at Capital and stuff like that. Was it a scary time? Was it a scary atmosphere? When I was there at Capital, he did kind of rule the roost with a reign of slight terror.
No, not for me. I found him to be a great boss. One, he employed me and gave me the job, and I started with lots of other contemporaries, who got a shot at it. And when it was time to not be on anymore, I was not on anymore. But I had a good 10 years and loved every minute of it. And he was nothing but, I suppose he would always enthuse with stuff I did. Yeah, he very rarely said to me, no, I don't like that or whatever. Just, very rarely. He would just say, that's great, keep going, But equally, he didn't say that all the time, because it was your job to be great. So that's what I was being paid for.
Yeah.
So I was always happy and never nervous, and loved every minute of that station and any other station I've been on too. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone there, to be honest with you.
It's been lovely meeting you today. And will you come back and see us again soon and do some, maybe do some radio shows or whatever?
Who knows?
I'm not the boss, but I'm just suggesting it.
I might bring my jingles for you, including
come on, Pat.
Including all the hits.
Amazing. I just want to see you in action. Anyway, I'll stop gushing. Pat Sharp, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.